The original plans for the Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy.
When Disney acquired Lucasfilm, they announced that not only would they be continuing the Skywalker saga, but they would also be producing standalone movies set outside the main series. The first was Rogue One, the second was Solo, and the third was supposed to be the start of a trilogy centered around Obi-Wan Kenobi, which not only would have been radically different than the show we eventually got on Disney+, but it would have seen the return of Commander Cody, Obi-Wan fighting a vision of an adult Luke Skywalker, and the return of Darth Maul. So let's dive in and find out what happened behind the scenes and take a
That'd be cool because you could definitely play that into what would actually happen because he'd probably have fears that he's going to mess up with Luke again, just like he did with Anakin. And he's going to have to fight Luke. Oh, that'd be wild.
Plus, most fans assumed a movie or a series about the aging Jedi Knight would have taken place solely on Tatooine, with Obi-Wan watching over a young Luke Skywalker from a distance. However, when writer Stuart Beattie was asked to pitch his take on an Obi-Wan film to Lucasfilm, he theorized that Obi-Wan must have left Tatooine at some point during those 19 years living on the desert planet. And not only that, Kenobi must have at least had a conversation with Darth Vader.
Well, no, he didn't.
At first, Lucasfilm pushed back, saying that neither of those things could happen. However,
Yes. What the hell happened?
Beattie insisted that they must have happened, pointing to a line in Return of the Jedi that alluded to it, and it's the scene where Luke surrenders to Vader.
What?
He tells his father that he knows there's good in him. Later in the scene, Vader remarks that Obi-Wan once thought as you do. Beattie would point out that at no
Bro, no. Don't even give me that. He is not talking about. Oh my god, he is not. Are you kidding? That's what the Kenobi show was based off of. That, like, some. No. That is not the way it happened, man. When he says Obi-Wan once thought as you do, he is talking about any point in time in the prequel trilogy when he thought that there's always good in someone. That's what he's talking about. Not some like weird retcon where they have another meeting or a fight and Obi-Wan tries and turns him back to the light. He didn't even do that in the Kenobi show.
Tell Anakin during their duel that he is lost as they debate whether the Jedi are evil, but after Obi-Wan cuts him in half, he leaves him to die. So Beattie argued that there must have been a point where they met again.
No, even in the duel you can take parts from that and be like, then you are lost. It's like, well, okay, what's he meaning by you're lost? Dude, they had like so much dialogue, even during the fight. There's just so much of that stuff. Even in the beginning, if you're not with me, you're my enemy. He's like, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. It's like, dude, yeah, that's what he thought. And the fact that they tried and used that as like a loophole, I'm very impressed that Lucasfilm actually stood their ground in the beginning. They're like, no, that never happened. What the heck happened? Money?
A New Hope. The film would have opened with Vader taking on 5 Jedi and killing them all. Reva would have been looking for them and capturing them, but Vader would have been the one who kills them, almost like an executioner. Beattie's film also wouldn't have included the Inquisitors like the Grand Inquisitor or the Fifth Brother. Instead, Reva would have led a squad of 10 Stormtrooper Marshals, commanded by a guy named Commander Jet, and they all would have been former clone troopers and veterans of the Clone Wars, still with their biochips in them, and all would have been played by Tamura Morrison. And while they all would have been absolutely ruthless and not missed when they shot, unlike the Stormtroopers from the original trilogy, whose poor aim has become a running gag over the years, each one still would have ended up dying over the course of the movie. Beattie chose not to include the Grand Inquisitor because the character appears later in Star Wars Rebels, so he felt audiences would know that the character wouldn't die, taking away some of the jeopardy from the story. This is why Beattie created the character of Reva, so audiences wouldn't know whether the character survives or not, and also for Obi-Wan to have a foe he could defeat, save, or potentially kill, since he couldn't do that with Vader. However, Beattie's version of Reva was dramatically different from the one in the show. In the movie, Reva didn't know that Darth Vader was Anakin. It would have been Kenobi who told her, which would have made her go from a villain to realizing that the guy she works for, Darth Vader, is the one who massacred the Jedi, killed all her friends, and almost killed her, leaving her for dead. For his part, Vader would have been absolutely
already makes so much more sense, so much more compelling.
Obsessed with finding Kenobi and getting revenge over what he did to him. Early in the film, Palpatine would have ordered Vader to travel to and crush a rebel uprising on a moon, but Vader would have pushed back, arguing that they should focus on finding Kenobi instead, calling him one of the 2 biggest threats in the galaxy.
Yes.
The Emperor then would have mockingly responded with, "Pity you didn't kill him when you had the chance."
Yes. What the hell? Yes.
Followed by Vader clapping back by reminding Palpatine that the other threat is Yoda. This would have been
Damn! Holy shit! He would have pwned his ass with that.
By the time of the movie, Cody would have had this chip removed and been racked with guilt over his attempt to kill Kenobi. As a result,
wow, so they're gonna be bros and dude, what the
Result, Cody would have devoted his life to right this wrong and protect Kenobi at all costs. The first time we would have seen him in the film would have been near the beginning, when Obi-Wan goes into town. Cody would have followed him through the streets and attacked him, taking him into an alley with a knife to his throat before saying, "You're dead." From here, he'd lower the knife, as we'd realize Cody is making a point as he tells Kenobi he has to be more careful.
Oh my god! What?
This scene would have been used to establish how disconnected Obi-Wan is from the Force, which is why Obi-Wan doesn't sense Cody following him. And besides not practicing it while in hiding, Kenobi is also disconnected from the Force because he's forcing his will upon Luke to be the greatest Jedi ever and fix everything in the galaxy. Beatty drew inspiration from Superman 2, which sees the Man of Steel stripped of his powers. The idea, which Beatty says was kind of done in the final Obi-Wan series, was to finally have an amazing moment at the end of the film similar to when Superman gets his powers back and crushes Zod's hand. And so by the end of the film, Obi-Wan would find his way back to the Force and surrender to the will of it by leaving Luke alone. At one point in the film, Obi-Wan would have helped a group of religious refugees invade the Empire, and this group would have worshipped a goddess that they claimed controlled all life, until Obi-Wan realizes that what they're worshipping is the Force, and the leader of this group, Tao, would have taken Obi-Wan to their sacred shrine, where he would have had a Force vision on Mustafar reminiscent of the cave scene in The Empire Strikes Back. Seeing a man in a dark robe with a lightsaber, Obi-Wan would have assumed it was Anakin, only to realize that it's actually Luke, all grown up, who attacks him as the two have a lightsaber battle on the lava planet. The duel would have ended with Luke almost killing Obi-Wan.
Are you fucking kidding me? We didn't.
Obi-Wan snaps out of the vision and wakes up back on Tatooine. What Obi-Wan would have taken away from this vision of the future is that if he keeps trying to train Luke and put all this pressure and guilt on the kid, Luke's eventually going to turn to the dark side. Keep in mind this appearance of a de-aged...
Oh my god, so it plays into why he left him alone for so many years. Holy shit.
Mark Hamill as Luke would have predated his appearance on The Mandalorian. Similar to a buddy cop movie, the relationship between Obi-Wan and Cody would have been like an old married couple, as the two would constantly bicker all the time, but also reminisce about the good old days, saying stuff.
Bro, are you... I just don't get it, bro. I don't get how they can take so many L's and make so many bad decisions, especially when they have amazing good scripts like Colin Trevorrow's 9 and this. I really don't understand.
Like, God, it was so much better when we had an army at our backs. Eventually, just like in the Disney Plus series,
Connecting the past to the present. Like Cody and Obi-Wan having a banter relationship like Lethal Weapon. And you guys passed up on this and gave us the absolute shithole mud diarrhea show of Kenobi? I don't get it.
Obi-Wan would have had to leave Tatooine. Except in the movie, Obi-Wan would have asked Cody to watch over Luke. This would have given the film a fun little B story.
That is the only acceptable thing for Obi-Wan to leave Tatooine is if Ahsoka or Cody were to watch over Luke. I can't even begin to tell you. I haven't heard one plot point yet of the proposed movie that would make it suck. Everything lines up, everything hits all the points, everything makes you reminisce about what once was, about the Clone Wars, about the prequels. Everything ties into the originals without damaging anything in between or the previous or the originals. It's so... Damn, bro. I don't get it, bro.
Cody and Owen would have discovered some bounty hunters that had discovered Obi-Wan. After killing them, they would have argued about what to do with the bodies. Eventually, they would have settled on dumping them in the Sarlacc pit. So they travel to it, and while they're tossing the bodies in, they're busy having an argument about Cody shooting Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith.
Bro, why? I just don't even want to listen anymore because it gets better and better and better. Is this guy faking it? Is this a theory? Or like, if it is, I mean, this is the best.
The whole movie would have built to a confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader that sees the two men duel on a space station as it falls apart in the atmosphere of a giant planet. During the battle, Obi-Wan would have slashed Vader's helmet, giving Anakin the scar on his forehead and revealing his face under the mask. It's at this point that Obi-Wan realizes that there's an alternative to waiting for Luke to grow up so that he can train him to be a Jedi. Instead, Obi-Wan tries to turn Vader and bring him back to the light side so that he and Anakin can go pay a visit to Palpatine and take down the Empire once and for all. Fortunately for Obi-Wan, he realizes that his friend is long gone, and only Darth Vader remains. As they resume the duel, Vader pushes Obi-Wan off the platform they're fighting on, as he disappears. As they try to find Kenobi to see if he's dead or alive, Reva tells Vader that she killed him so that Vader would stop hunting him, leading Vader to kill her in a rage. For the second movie, Beatty wanted to explore how Obi-Wan came to accept...
Wait, that was movie 1? There's 2 more?
as he felt Obi-Wan choosing to sacrifice himself was pretty sudden and required pre-acceptance that it was going to happen. As a result, in the second film, Obi-Wan would have either learned through a prophecy or from the ghost of Qui-Gon of a moment in the future where he's going to have to sacrifice himself for the good. Obi-Wan would have rejected this at first, arguing that he's here to help, but the film would have explored his eventual acceptance of the idea that he needs to die willingly at a crucial moment. On top of that, Obi-Wan also would have learned from Qui-Gon how to become more powerful in death than in life as a Force ghost. So what went wrong? After Solo underperformed at the box office, Disney canceled their planned Star Wars spin-off films and pivoted to making series for their new streaming service Disney+. The first series would be The Mandalorian, with plans for an Obi-Wan series to follow. Unfortunately for Stuart Beattie, he wasn't asked to stay on to write the series. However, after the series was written without him, Kathleen Kennedy was said to be unhappy with the scripts after Filoni and Favreau expressed concern that they covered similar ground to The Mandalorian, as both featured a lone wolf-like character protecting a child. Allegedly, Darth Maul would have been one of the main villains in this series, but when the scripts were rewritten, Maul was cut out. As series director Deborah Chow would say that Dave Filoni did a beautiful job of telling that story already in the animated series Star Wars Rebels, and featuring Maul in the Kenobi series would be a little too much, considering Vader was going to be in it too. Filoni did a beautiful job of telling that story already in the animated series Star Wars Rebels, and featuring Maul in the Kenobi series would be a little too much, considering Vader was going to be in it too. It was Dave Filoni, however, who suggested they include the Grand Inquisitor from Star Wars Rebels. For his part, Stuart Beattie would be credited on the first 3 episodes of the Obi-Wan series, as well as on the final episode, saying that they took elements from his script and turned it from a 2-hour movie into a 6-hour series, and that he was devastated that he didn't get to make his trilogy, as Ewan was on board, ready to go, and the pair were so excited about it.
Pass up on this opportunity. It's just, to me, it shows someone that's just out of touch and doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And the whole part about Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau saying no to this show because it treads on Mando. I mean, Mando hit it out of the park. Why wouldn't you want the same to happen for, because what, it has the same theme of like a father-son kind of thing? They canceled those plans because The Last Jedi, because of, it all comes back to The Last freaking Jedi shithole of a film that not only destroyed a franchise, but also warped the minds of the weak people there to then scrap any amazing idea of a movie going after it because they think, oh, because Solo bombed, it's because people don't want Star Wars movies and they only want shows. No, you incompetent nitwit. It's because you created a film that was absolute shit. And so people were pissed off and they didn't want to go see Solo. If you created a Luke Skywalker movie after The Last Jedi, people probably would have gone and seen it. But, you know, even then, it still would have been damaged. It's just, it's the level of out of touchness is out of this galaxy. I can't even begin to comprehend or like try to dismantle their thought process because it's literally as simple as saying like, hey, here's what is an amazing idea, amazing script, what we should do. Let's pretend it's opposite day and not do it. So out of touch, so unbelievably out of touch. I feel like I'm literally the only one, the only channel that talks about this stuff. You know, I bear the weight of all of this, of carrying the voice of all of us. Talk about this bullshit. What is this, man? Why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening. I need you guys to be a little more vocal. Be polite, be respectful to people, always. Be vocal. Don't let us be drowned out. Our voices need to be heard. We need to be heard. Respectfully is how we win arguments. Always express your facts and your feelings and how you think it should have been like this and why. You know, in a time of technology like today, it's very important to voice your opinions very eloquently, detailed, respectfully. I think that's very, very valid and important. But hey, that would have been an amazing script. That first movie? That would have been really, really good. A buddy system, kind of like a bantering buddy system, like Lethal Weapon with Kenobi and Cody. Oh my god. That is like the only possibility where Kenobi could leave Tatooine, is if Cody is watching over Luke. And then having Maul in there, why not? Why wouldn't you put Maul in there? You don't even have to have him come across Kenobi. You could just show like a little maybe behind this end credit scene or something like that. He's just wandering around or doing something. It's kind of how I feel about your channel. I popped back in a few months ago. You just seem so jaded, dude. You gotta move on. How dare you to tell me to move on? Star Wars is my life. Star Wars is very important to me. And if I have something to say, I'm going to say it. I'm not out here controlling anyone or telling anyone not to love Star Wars or not to do this or that. People have free reign to choose what they want. So do I. I have free reign to express my opinions. I have a channel I've been doing for 8 years. And I am totally allowed, that is my right, to speak my mind, to give you my thoughts. I'm never going to stop speaking. I'm never going to shut my mouth. And I'll never be purchased. And if you don't like that, there are many other channels that are fake. You can go and subscribe to them, but you're not going to find that here. And that makes me the black sheep, and that's fine. I will take that title, whatever comes with it. Like I said, it's been 8 years I've been here, and I ain't going anywhere. I've taken all the abuse, I've taken all the everything, I've taken all the love, I've seen it all.